All right, I do apologize for starting up. We had some signal issues here that we may still be having, so just bear with me here. All right, so hi. All right, so here we are at week 8. We're talking about visual analysis and blogging. Actually, give me one moment here. I'll be right back. You can't think of his mind.
Can't make up its mind to do either.
All right, again, I apologize. I'm having some signal issues out of my house here, so anyway, we're going to talk about week 8 of the course. We're talking about visual analysis and the fine art of blogging. One thing to get out there beforehand, if you see my video feed, you may notice I have my sticker on. I did go to vote yesterday, so in the video lecture, I'm going to do the same. I did the same thing that I'm doing here. Make sure everybody is aware that early voting has started in the state of Texas, so you are registered and eligible. It would behoove you to go vote now, because you really don't want to wait till election day, because then things going to go crazy. Okay, so we've been advised that we should be doing a get out the vote mess to all our students, so I'm getting it to you here. All right, so let's start off with visual analysis and the fine art of blogging. Starting with what is visual analysis itself? Well, this is one concept that some of my students have a little bit of trouble with. But very simply, visual analysis is similar to any other type of analytical essay. You're making claims, you're finding support for those claims. Your subject you're analyzing is a multimedia presentation. You're not analyzing like a traditional academic subject. You're actually analyzing a visual, and your conclusions have to be derived from your visual. Okay? The ultimate goal in visual analysis is to understand your subject as best as possible, offer that analysis for your audience while both you and the audience are exposed to the visual element at once. Okay? Now, this visual can be puzzling in nature, or it can be straightforward. You could be analyzing news photographs. You could be analyzing artwork. Okay? You could be analyzing esoteric videos. Okay? Occasionally, it requires additional research for background information. Okay? So, make sure you're doing that additional research if you need it. Okay? Many times, however, a visual analysis comes down to your gut reaction to the medium that you are, to the media that you're analyzing. So basically, you need to be able to view it and understand it and analyze it for your audience. First thing that we did as an activity in this lecture involved a video that I had you guys try your hand at analyzing. Okay. So there were a few approaches you could take to this. One would be one was a strict accounting of the events. Another was commenting on how they're portrayed, commenting on how the effects of the events are achieved, interpretations of any kind of deeper meaning to the visuals, or any other noteworthy comments you wanted to make. Okay. This was a journal exercise, but I do want to open it up here. For those of you who have completed this, who have done this exercise, and done it in the course of the video lecture, let me open it up to some of your reactions to the video, because I know it was pretty weird. Okay, so we'll go ahead and open it up if you want to raise your hand and give me your reactions that you had to the video. No, the video is not playing right now. The video is from the video lecture. At this point in the slideshow, I played the video in the lecture, and you were supposed to analyze it in your journals. So I'm asking if anybody has done that exercise to share their reactions. So a long period of silence here, is that implying to me that no one here has done that exercise? All right, as well. Okay. But you guys need to have some kind of practice in doing a visual analysis, because that's the whole point of the next assignment you guys are doing. And if you don't do a visual analysis for this exercise, your grade's going to suffer. It has for students in the past when they ignored the instruction to do visual analysis and just it's standard straight up blog posting. Okay. So just for you guys here, I guess I will go ahead and play the video for you guys and let you guys see for yourself what it is. And this will allow you to do some real-time analysis. You can actually shout out what your reactions are to it. So just let me share my screen. And yeah, it's a shared entire screen. Okay. So I'm going to bring it up here. Okay, I've just had the most maddening thing happen. Some spam caller just tried to call my cell phone while I'm using the hotspot, and it just completely disconnected me. So hopefully this doesn't affect my. Let's get back to this. Here we go. I'm gonna play the video here. Let's get past the ad, and it won't let me skip the ad, of course. After this ad, it's going to play the video. I want you guys to react to it. You can use the chat if you want to, or we can use it as a discussion after the video is. All right. All right, folks. So go ahead and get some get some of your reactions to that video. Let's hear what some of you have to say about it. I do notice that there's a caller on. This video is actually in the lecture. This is coming from one of the slides in the lecture. So if you missed it, all you heard music. You can see the visuals if you get to the lecture. Okay. So for now, those of you who were able to watch it here, let's see some raised hands and get some initial reactions and things that you might want to analyze in that video. All right, Cameron, I see your hand there. Go ahead.
The smoking is could be a bad habit.
Okay, that's a possible interpretation of that. Yeah. Now, granted, they kind of illustrated by having somebody lose complete control of their match and light everything on fire, but at the same time, yeah. Nancy, see your hand there. What's your question? Go ahead.
How something small can turn into something bigger than what it is. Kind of. That's what I got from it, at least.
Okay, yeah, that's a good overall theme because that's kind of what you saw there with all of those things. Something small gets out of hand very quickly if you don't keep an eye on it. Fernando, I see you there.
When you're not looking, something might happen. Because in all of those, it didn't necessarily have somebody looking at it.
Yeah, very true. Someone in the chat said, reminds me of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. There's a good reason for that. It's because it was made by the same guys. This actually predates Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, so they were actually experimenting with some of their effects and puppetry stuff that they would wind up using in Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. As a matter of fact, yeah. As a matter of fact, the video is actually shared on the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared channel. All right. It reminds me of the early 2000s alternative indie music video. Couldn't tell what was happening to the egg and everything else, showing how little things could go bad, like the title of the film. Yeah, okay. The egg was just something that I guess they did just to be a little weird. It's kind of implying that somebody's feeling, to me at least, it's like the person eating breakfast is feeling guilty about cracking the egg and being haunted by the ghost of the egg that they're about to eat. Okay. That's just my interpretation. There could be several others that could not necessarily be the right one. Okay. Alternative indie music video, yeah, that could definitely see how that would remind you of that, because some of the alt rock videos you saw in the 2000s or even in the late 90s were bizarre like that. All right, so just this is good comments that we're getting here. That's kind of what you're doing with this, okay? Ghost egg is my new favorite term. I like that. All right, so these kind of comments that we're getting here, the kind of stuff that you're seeing, the kind of stuff you're looking for, that's actually what you want to do with a visual analysis. This is the kind of thing that we're actually going to be looking for in your blog posts when we get to that point. Okay? All right. So let's continue on here. We've got a lot of slides to get through here. So making visual analysis interesting is, for starters, there's always a persuasive element to analysis, because you're trying to make your audience view whatever the subject is the way you view it. Make them see that your interpretation is the right one. Okay, try to convince the audience that your analysis is correct for the circumstances, even when there's visual proof, especially when there is visual proof. Okay, you need to tell them that the visuals match up with your interpretation. In analyzing this film, you've attempted to exert your analysis on your audience and persuade them that your interpretation is correct or worthy of inclusion in the discussion at the very least. Okay. That's the key here for visual analysis. That's what you really want to do. Visual analysis of any media works in much the same way. You're presenting your interpretation, demanding a seat at the conversation. Okay, so make sure that you are being persuasive in a sense with the way that you're analyzing things, telling people this is the interpretation, here is why, here's some evidence within the visual, here's some evidence I found related to the visual that will give you this analysis. Okay? Key to keeping audiences interested in analysis is challenging what they themselves find in the visual element. Even if you agree with their interpretation, there may be a different approach you're taking to reach the same destination. Okay, so you might have the similar interpretation, but you may be coming around to it in a different manner. So part of your analysis is showing how you got to that interpretation, in addition to what that interpretation is. All right, the next one here was CineCrossed by Mike D'Angelo, which is a series of columns at the AV Club website. Now, I did ask you to read one of the columns that I linked here, or if you weren't familiar with any of those movies, to find a column that you within Scenic Routes that you were more comfortable with reading, and I wanted you to evaluate the scene that's being described versus the analysis that D'Angelo gives, and to determine whether you agree with D'Angelo or not in terms of the analysis. Okay, so I have been trying to keep track of who's been doing this. I have seen a couple of at least one response thus far to it. It's actually shown up twice because they posted it separately, and then when I posted the thread, they reposted it to the thread. Okay, I've only had one response to it thus far, and that was in regards to the Wall-E scene. Okay, so this is going to be up to you guys to follow in the slideshow. Pick your article and read the article and find the scene, view the scene, and see if you agree with D'Angelo's analysis. Okay. And some of these are going to be more serious than others. Some of these are going to be sillier than others. Okay. I will say for the purposes of trying to find the scene, the easiest ones to find, Saturday Night Fever, the clip works in the article. Rest of them do not have working clips, but I would say probably you could find it, definitely the Wall-E scene, probably the Matrix scene. The scene in question is the red pill, blue pill scene from the Matrix. Kung Fu Hustle. There's a lot of folks that are fans of Stephen Chow online. You can find the Kung Fu Hustle scene. And Gladiator, it's a Best Picture winner. People are loving that movie. You can find that scene as well online if you need to. Okay. All right, that gets us to the team blog project. Okay. Now, the blog project is a team project. It is going to be reliant on your teams working together. Okay. That means if you had spotty participation in the workshops, that's going to have to improve very quickly. Okay. Each team is going to be responsible for creating and formatting a blog for their topic. The topic you choose should be a topic steeped in current events, and it'll be visually based, present photographs and video clips. Okay. So the rest of the slideshow here is going to be talking about blogging considerations. Okay. Mainly in regards to intellectual property, privacy online, safety online, things like that. So we're going to go through these slides as quickly as we can. Afterward, I'm actually going to show you guys where you can find the instructions for the blog platforms. Okay? The instructions to start your blogs. So these slides are now going to give you an overview of what your blogging experience should entail, including how to deal with the design issues and the legal question of fair use. So first off, though, we should talk about why blogging is important. Okay, blogging has become an invaluable resource for readers and writers alike. Now, for the reader, blogs offer different perspectives on people, events, and topics of interest that may not have been obvious. Okay, blogs are actually a good place to find alternative viewpoints. Several bloggers around the world offer varying perspectives on their own lives with their blogs. This especially for people who try to do cultural blogs and maybe try to show the way their culture works, as opposed to the culture that their readers may be more familiar with. Okay? For the writer, a blog offers a quickly published means of expression which reaches an audience almost instantly. Okay, so that allows for off-center viewpoints to find a voice. Okay, a blog doesn't have to go through an editorial board, doesn't have to go through acceptance or rejection or anything like that. You can set up your blog platform and just publish it immediately. Okay, there's no relying on outside forces to try to determine whether your voice deserves to be heard or not. Let's talk about blogging basics. There's a number of basic elements that you need to include in a blog. For starters, you need to have a title. It's usually a creative title, something to set apart the blog from others or to establish the subject matter. Okay. As I mentioned in the lecture, I actually run 2 blogs. They are both Tumblr blogs. One of them, and their titles are basically both indicative of what the contents are. So the main blog I have is called Mythic Popular Culture, and it deals with issues regarding pop culture, regarding mythology, regarding other things I find of interest. Most recently, it's been a lot of cat stuff, mainly because I'm using that to keep my sanity. All right. So the other blog I run is called the Incomplete Nano Stash, which is a clearinghouse that I have set up for my manuscripts, the ones that I have not finished yet, to try to get some feedback on them to see where I should go from there. Unfortunately, not a lot of people have found that blog, so basically they're just sitting there out in the ether collecting dust right now. Okay, but I am going to be doing Nano again this year, and I'm planning on using the Incomplete Nano Stash to post every chapter once I finish them. Okay, so that'll be another thing I'm going to do with that blog. Okay. Voice. The blogger has a unique style to their writing, which gives a good differentiation from other blogs on the same topic. So part of the blog experience is getting to know the personality of the blogger, getting to know their personality through the way they write and through what they say. Okay. So your voice is going to be just as important as anything you put down in that blog. You have postings. Your blog entries work in a similar fashion to journal entries in that your unvarnished thoughts are presented on a page. Now, they probably do want to be edited at least a little bit so that they are readable and comfortable for the reader. But you don't want to you don't want to cut them up too much. Okay. One of the charms of blogs is that it is getting your thoughts right out there without having too much of a preliminary. Okay. Now, granted, you probably do want to make sure that they're factually accurate, but it's going to be good for you to not try to revise them too much before you post. Then we have interaction. Users can usually submit feedback to a blogger right away, oftentimes as soon as they finish reading a posting. Every blog platform that we're using has a mechanism for feedback. It has a way for the readers to talk back with the author. Okay, whether it's a direct feedback message board for each blog, or if there's just a general message system that can be used to communicate with the writer, or at least in one platform's case, you have the opportunity to reblog and share the blog wider. Okay, that's another way that readers can interact. Right. So there's 4 basic blog types that you usually find. Okay, that is in terms of their subject matter. One could be a personal blog where the writer usually details elements of their personal lives they feel their audience will find interesting. Many times these are bloggers that are posting about interesting things that apply to their own personal lives. Some of these are disability bloggers, some of these are mommy bloggers, some of these are pet bloggers. Okay, anything that they feel people might want their perspective on. Okay, even when it's not exactly welcome. Then we have a news blog. The writer offers commentary on current events or news of the day, usually without filter. Okay, There's a number of these blogs out there where they will give you their interpretation of current events and what's going on and what's right, what's wrong, whatever. Okay. Then you have the art blog. The blogger posts artwork, either their own or their perspectives on others in various media. This is actually one of the blog types where you would see the most visual analysis, especially if they are using fine arts or anybody else's artwork. They're offering interpretations. This is where you'd find those interpretations in an art blog, where you find those visual analyses. And the last one's a fandom and entertainment blog, which is usually on subjects related to single pop culture intellectual properties. They can offer a variety of posting types to express their opinions about or affections for the topic. This would include fan art blogs, fan fiction blogs, general fan blogs, things like that. Okay? Now, differences in blogging platforms. There's 4 basic types of blogging platforms out there. Microblogging, which is like Twitter, photo blogging, Instagram or Snapchat, vlogging, which is video blogging, so YouTube, not so much Twitch, but definitely YouTube. Then traditional blogging, which would be long-form text posts, okay? Offers a variety of post types. That would be Blogger, WordPress, or Tumblr. Traditional blogging is what we're going with for this project. I'm going to try to speed along here because I noticed we're already at 1:35. All right. So here's the presentation of the sample blogs that I had for you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again and show you, and just give you a brief idea of what we're looking at here. So we're going to start with I'm going to just share a tab here. Go with that one. Okay, so I'm sharing for you. I'm going to go to each of these. I'm going to start with Mashable. Okay, this is an example of this gives you an idea of what we're talking about here. We have some subcategories here that they divide their articles. So here's some science, technology, culture, entertainment. We actually have an entire subcategory right now for women's equality. We also have social good, which is an activist tag. Okay, and here are some of the front page things that you see here. Okay. It just gives you an idea how they organize things on their front page, get you to click on any of these links and read those articles. So that is the news blog. We'll go back to presentation. Next type is the personal blog. This one's going to be Mom Knows It All. Right, so let me give you the tab again. Come on. Where is it? All right. Here is Mom Knows It All. Okay. So again, it's kind of laid out like Mashable. You have some subcategories up at the top here. This was kind of like the example of a mommy blog, a homemaker blog. Okay. Looks like she's shifted things to recipes in her most recent posts. Okay. She actually looks like she's changed the format of it to she's now calling it From Val's Kitchen. Okay. She actually changed valmg.com now redirects to FromVal'sKitchen.com. So she's kind of transformed it into a personal cooking blog where she's sharing recipes and stuff. Okay. All right. Next type of blog. There it is. This type of blog. All right, so we're going to share this tab again. Okay, so the art blog that I'm having you look at is called The Jealous Curator. Okay, this is a blog that's run by an art student, a art gallery curator, showcasing some of the interesting pieces that she's highlighted in her collections or highlighted from other collections, stuff she's put in her own gallery. You can see it's kind of more along the lines of modern artwork. Okay, a lot of contemporary artists here. She's mostly letting the art speak for itself. The most she presents is going to be quotes from the artists themselves. If anything, we do a brief biography of the artist. Okay, so that's what you typically see for an art. Occasionally, you have some. Occasionally, you will have some interpretation to go with those. Okay. So we'll get to the fourth type of blog, and it's going to be the fandom blog. The example we have here is a Tumblr blog called Did You Know Steven Universe? Share this tab. This one, thankfully, has not changed because they actually have. Doesn't seem like they've updated it in about 2 years. So it's going to look pretty much as it did when I added it to this slideshow. So here is Did You Know Steven Universe? It takes you right to the front page and starting with the posts themselves. Okay. And you can see that it's supposed to be kind of humorous. These are not exactly intended to be serious. This is mostly about celebrating the show and being funny about it. Okay. All right. So let's get out of this and get back to my slideshow. We'll continue on. Let's see. And get down. On. Past this. Here we go. All right, so that gets us to talk about multimodal text. They use more than just words to influence their audiences. Typically, they're going to use things such as images, sounds, video, or page design in addition to anything else. These are more prevalent in the electronic era because you have more options in terms of media. However, multimodal text exists as far back as medieval works, which would be so-called illuminated texts, where you have books that have very detailed, very artwork surrounding the text on the pages. This is primarily to try to illustrate points or to make a deeper argument about the text that's there. Okay. Multimodal works use their multiple media to fully explore an argument and illustrate it for the reader, especially when certain elements of the topic are difficult to put into words effectively. Okay. So visuals and anything else is going to help you if you can't articulate it well. Okay. Media other than text can be used as a hook to get the audience interested in posting. Things such as audio files. Okay. Or it could be music that's directly analyzed by the post. It could also be mood music that you play in the background. But mainly we're looking here for this project photos and videos, which you are discussing or analyzing within the text of your post. Okay. Giving us perspective on it. Okay. Now, keep in mind, the post cannot rest on the header's laurels alone. You need to have strong written content to go along with that header to keep the reader and make them into a follower coming back for more content. Okay. We're going to skip this segment here. I do talk about briefly in the lecture about vlogging. Okay. Audience interactivity, you just have to keep in mind that your audience is going to be able to interact with you, and they may actually spread your post beyond the intended audience. Okay, that will cause a shift in rhetorical circumstance. Okay, the example I give for this is the lifespan of the typical internet meme, along with this extensive list of past and present memes that are currently or have been popular within the last, I'd say maybe 6 or 7 years. Okay, I actually go through each one by one in the lecture video. Okay, so we're gonna skip that right here. Talk about shifting rhetorical context. You have audience shift. Okay, the audience spread caused sometimes by social media word of mouth. This will be going viral. Okay. They hit an extremely wide audience through these channels, and most times that audience is not the intended audience. It's somebody who is 3 or 4 audience generations after the fact. Okay, 2 or 3 levels away, the audience is going to react differently from the intended audience. They're not going to get the same message. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, another possibility for shifting rhetorical context is writer shift. Let's say a new or administrator or blogger takes over the blog. Our blog is written by multiple contributors with differing viewpoints. A good example of this would be wikis, which are like online reference sheets that usually have multiple writers and the information is crowdsourced. Okay, this usually has no controlling lead author, so whoever is in charge that day can shift the tone of a listing. Okay, reader response can also skew how a writer's effort is understood by subsequent audiences. If it winds up offending a whole bunch of people in the audience, it may take on a meaning that you didn't intend. Okay. Another one is message shift. A new message created by the commenters to the blog post, making an entirely new rhetorical point for the original blog. Okay. One thing that can cause this is embedded hyperlinks. If you present links to try to give more perspective, it could also alter the meaning that you are intending to make. Okay, TLDR statements do the same thing. It basically acts as a summary to try to give what your interpretation is. The problem is that kind of forces your audience to share your interpretations rather than evaluate your interpretation and see whether they agree with it or not. Okay. Commenters themselves can also occasionally change the original blogger's point of view. Sometimes I have seen this in the past. They make the original author disavow posting because they were obviously wrong. Okay. Now we talk about safety and privacy. Okay. There is such a thing as oversharing online. There's a few things you should never post to a blog post. That would be a physical address, your phone number, or any kind of identifying number such as an ID card number, a social security number, a credit card number, anything like that. All of those are invitations to identity theft or other types of crime. Okay. Also, you want to be careful about what content you post and follow what's called the boss parent teacher rule. So basically, if your post is not something you would want your boss, your parents, or a teacher to read, okay, it's probably not something you want to post. Right? And our next category is understanding intellectual property rights. Okay, this gets into some touchy business here involving copyright. Okay? You can share pre-existing materials, but they're subject to intellectual property law. So you should be aware of some terms. One of them is copyright law. This is how works are protected under the law from people profiting off of them without having produced them. Okay? While copyrights can be granted to other groups or individuals, the fact of the matter is that the baseline of copyright law is the creator owns it until their death plus 30 years. Okay. Then you have fair use. Copyright material may be presented secondhand with attribution for the purposes of the following, which is considered protected free speech. Okay. The 5 uses are: 1 is academic use. Okay. That is how I operate. That's how I use video clips. That's how I use some of my music. Okay. I can use that because I'm using it for a class. Okay. Criticism. This is how you're going to use it, partly. Okay. Parody. If you're making fun of something and you want to use part of it to make fun of it, you're covered there. Commentary, that's another way you guys are going to be doing it. Visual analysis is going to be criticism and commentary. Okay? So if you have a copyrighted visual that you're using as your basis for your post, then yeah, you're going to be allowed to use it. Okay? We have research. If you need to present it as part of presenting research for some kind of academic purpose, then yeah, you're allowed to use it. Okay? Then we have the Creative Commons. These are works made freely available by artists and writers for any purpose. Okay? If you need something like a background or a piece of music or something like that, search Creative Commons on Google. They'll give you a lot of stuff that is offered free of charge. Okay? You don't have to pay for copyrights. You don't have to pay for usage rights. Okay? This was accompanied by a video which showed you fair use in action. Okay? Ethical use of media. If you create photographs for the purposes of this blog project, you will need to obtain permission from the subjects of those photographs. You have to have permission from those recorded by them in order to use them. You can't just if you aren't using journalistic photographs, you need to have permission. Okay. Bibliography. You should compile a complete bibliography of your sources for media usage, primarily including links to the original sources. You want to give credit where credit is due, especially if you're working with sources such as DeviantArt, who's had problems with people stealing work from them before. Okay? We have IP law. Make sure that your usage does not cross any boundaries in regards to intellectual property usage. Most blogging is covered for fair use doctrine as long as the blog is non-profit in nature. So you cannot sell advertising on your blog. Okay, that means that you making money through ad revenues, so it negates fair use. Create an ethical online persona. Okay, keep a consistent tone to your writing. Avoid personal attacks on those who disagree with you, using stereotypes on opponents, or lashing out against criticism. Okay. Keep in mind that not everyone who reads your blog is going to be in your target audience group. So be diplomatic about your language and opinions. And stick with a single online persona. Don't try to be cutesy with characters. Okay. That gets us to the blogging assignment. Okay. So your team is going to be creating a single subject blog using one of 3 popular blogging platforms. Okay. 3 platforms are going to be WordPress, Blogger, or Tumblr. Okay. I wanted to show you here. I've got them. I thought I posted them. What the heck? Okay. I have them around here somewhere. Let's see. All right. I hate to delay this a lot here. I'm trying to. There it is. Okay. Gather on my. Okay. All right, I'm just going to show them to you in Word here. I'm going to post these as soon as I can, but these are going to be your setting up blog platforms. This is the main thing I want to get today. So we're going to start with WordPress. Okay. This document will be available on eCampus soon. This is going to be a basic instructions on how to set up a blog. Fairly easy to follow. Okay. Well, there's a lot of steps here, and this is what the end result should probably look like as far as your dashboard goes. Okay. Next. Stop that. Let's Blogger. Okay. So this is for blogger.com. This is so this comes from here is creation post, delete or set up pages, and how to add images. Adding images is important because you need them for the visual. Okay. And now the third one is Tumblr, which is easy. It definitely has the least amount of steps. Okay, so here's the Tumblr blog. You have 4 steps to set up the account, and then these are the types of Tumblr posts that you have available. Primarily, the ones I want you to be looking. One of the. Okay. The other one's going to be video. Okay. These instructions will be available for you soon on eCampus. Let me get back to my slideshow. Just we have the basic instruction. So basically, what you guys are going to be doing is working together to blogs. Every member of the team needs to contribute at least 2 postings. Each posting should be at least 500 words and written as a visual analysis with an argument. So you'll need to choose a visual, present that visual, and then you'll need to write 500 words on that visual. Okay? Ensure also that postings are fully proofread and edited by the team prior to their posting on the blog site. So you need to have those blogs have to be polished before you post. Also, posts should be easily accessible to the general user. These are going to be public-facing blogs. I do not want them set to private. I do not want them password protected or anything like that. They have to be public. Okay. When you go to turn this in, what I want you to turn it in is going to be as a Word file, okay, which includes the URL for your blog. I want you to make sure that your blog is used. Actual URL that you give me is the URL to get to the blog. And for those of you who choose to do Tumblr, it's not it goes to your dashboard. You can tell it's your dashboard link because it'll have the word dashboard in it. Or really the easiest way to do this is if it's a direct link to the blog, the first part of the URL will be the blog's name. Okay? So, and then you need the full text of the blogs that you personally wrote. We're not going to have you guys turning in the entire content of the blog in one document. I need to see specifically what each member did. Okay. Also, make sure that your copies turned in include the visual that you're analyzing copied into the document. Okay. So you can copy paste images into Word document and make sure that you're doing that. Okay. Now, this assignment and all related materials are going to be due on the 29th of this night. Actually, not 29th, it should be the 30th. Okay, in fact, I make that correction in the video. It's the 30th. Okay. So October 30th at midnight, your blogs should be complete. All right. So that means you guys should be working on them right now, figuring out what your topic is, figuring out what your visuals are going to be. These are going to be single topic blogs. Everyone's going to be working within a single topic, but have different perspectives on it. Okay. And the last slide is examples of different types of platforms. Okay. All right. So I'm going to cut it off there because that's the last slide. Anyway, let's get a few questions out here if anybody has any questions on this, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up for the day. So any questions, raise your hands. Let's see them. Cameron, I see your hand. What's your question?
So I was looking at the syllabus, and it said that the Working with Ideas information assignment, I couldn't find it in MindTap. Where would that be located?
I'm sorry, where are you finding that in the syllabus? I didn't have that in the syllabus.
It's the very end where it has like where the assignments are due, and the 3 paragraphs. Not the 3 paragraphs, but the 3 boxes. I was looking through it while I was completing it. And one of them is Working with Ideas and information, but I couldn't find that in MindTap. I was wondering where it was.
That's not a specific thing. The components and major assignments here, that's all. The components of it are just general information of what's supposed to be covered in those. It's not, each one is not necessarily a segment. Okay. The stuff in these boxes does not correspond with directly the stuff in MindTap.
I see. Thank you.
Topic restrictions. I do want you guys to be using something involved current events. Okay. I do want you to make sure that it's something that can be argued, something that can have multiple perspectives, something that is going to be of interest to a general audience. In the lecture, I give you the example that last year I had a team that did this project, and they did their blog about shoes because it was 3 guys who were especially enthusiastic about the athletic shoes. But the problem being was that they were very thorough in terms of their visual analysis, but it was utterly boring. Okay, so you need to have something that's going to be of interest to an audience and something that's related to current events. Oh, the other thing is your team has to agree what topic you guys are going to use. Okay, I got time for one more question here, and then we're going to wrap it up. All right, well then if there's no further questions here, I'm going to go ahead and cut you guys loose. We'll do this again next week. We'll talk a little bit more over some of the stuff you need to know to prepare for this blog project. In the meantime, let's get you guys. You need to be working on the blog right now. Make sure you guys are working together in your teams. You guys have some way of collaborating and are able to pick a topic and start looking for your visuals for this. I will see everybody next week. Thanks for coming by.